Welcome to the session of Maximize Resiliency and Availability with Managed Availability and Disaster Recovery. I'm Rashmi Mansoor, Principal Product Manager for Resiliency and Compliance for Power Platform and Copilot. In this session, we'll explore how managed availability ensures enterprise-grade resilience for Dynamics 365 workloads. Using Azure availability zones and features like self-service disaster recovery, you can seamlessly failover, replicate environments, and run disaster recovery drills, all from Power Platform Admin Center, ensuring uptime, compliance, and control during outages. In this session, we will discuss how resiliency ensures business continuity, covering what it means beyond availability, including readiness and recovery. Then we will dive into managed availability and disaster recovery with a demo, followed by best practices from real-world customer experiences. Let's jump in. Let's dive into a real-world scenario. Meet Anne. She is an IT director at a major airline. In recent months, she's been tracking several high-profile outages, ranging from a cloud fire disruption that impacted core applications to a system issue that grounded flights across the country. These incidents aren't hypothetical. They are real, recent, and expensive. For Anne, resiliency is no longer just a checkbox. It's a business imperative. She's now focused on proactively identifying risks in her systems and understanding how outages, whether internal or across dependencies, could impact operations. She's asking, do we have the right recovery strategies in place? Are all services covered in our disaster recovery plan? And are we ready if something breaks at scale? Anne's story highlights why resiliency, visibility, and actionability are more important than ever. Now, let's zoom out and talk about why resiliency matters so much in the first place. To truly realize the benefits, resiliency must be designed in from the start. Power Platform makes it easy to build quickly, but as usage scales to business-critical scenarios, so does the need for resiliency. Failures, disruptions, and unexpected events will happen. How we prepare for them defines success. Resiliency should be a core part of every Power Platform and cloud strategy. Let's dive into the expectations of a head of operations as an example. As a head of operations, one of your top priorities is ensuring your business stays operational with minimal disruption. You need your mission-critical applications up and running no matter what. This means having a robust strategy for business continuity, keeping things always on to protect against local fires, regional weather events, or power grid failures. You also need to test and validate your business continuity and disaster recovery, or BCDR, plans in real time to ensure compliance. When outages do occur, you need full control over your emergency response and seamless restoration post-outage. And of course, a reliable data backup plan is crucial for peace of mind, allowing you to restore to a specific point in time and have an extra layer of redundancy. With AI agents powering mission-critical workflows, availability is no longer optional. Traditional backup methods are too slow for modern demands. That's why Microsoft introduced managed availability for Dynamics 365 and Power Platform, offering seamless failover, enterprise-grade resilience, and always-on reliability. Built on Azure, it protects everything from Power Apps to Copilot Studio agents, even during regional outages. Industry leaders like NHS, Siemens, and Coca-Cola are already relying on it to safeguard their most critical systems. So, how do we minimize impact? We are going to walk through the principles that we use to make our services, our platform, our product offering reliable. Let's start with a key principle of resiliency: eliminating single points of failure. In any complex system, failures are inevitable. But the key is how we isolate and contain them to minimize customer impact. One of the ways we do this is through partitioning, which helps localize the scope of a failure. For example, recently one of our services experienced a spike in traffic that caused a cache issue. Thanks to partitioning, this issue was contained to a single region, preventing a global outage. In addition, we leverage Azure availability zones across our compute and data stores to ensure customers don't experience downtime. Availability zones are unique physical locations within an Azure region where customer data is replicated synchronously across at least 3 distant zones. These ensure no data loss and enable rapid failovers achieving a recovery time objective, also known as RTO, of under 5 minutes. So if one zone fails, customer traffic seamlessly shifts to the other zones with minimal disruption. However, resiliency is a partnership. We recently had an instance where Power Platform seamlessly failed over to other zones, but customer-owned Azure resources weren't zone redundant. While the platform worked fine, the customer was impacted. This highlights the importance of ensuring that customers also have zone-redundant resources for full end-to-end resiliency, and partitioning helped turn a potentially large-scale outage into a localized, manageable incident. That's the power of resilient architecture. Now, let's talk about the second key principle, fault isolation, using deployment practices. Even with multiple validation systems in place, there's always a risk that a regression could slip through. Our goal is to minimize the impact if that happens. That's why we use gradual staged rollouts to production. Every change is introduced slowly, moving through controlled phases, starting with internal environments, and then early adopters, and finally, broad rollout. Here's an example of this in action. We once had a code regression in one of our products. Thanks to safe deployment practices, the issue was caught early in Station 1, our first release ring. We immediately halted the rollout, and as a result, 98% of customer environments were completely unaffected. This shows how safe deployment strategies protect customers even when things don't go as planned. Now, let's move to the third principle, eliminating monitoring gaps. In any complex system, failures are inevitable. So it's critical that we catch them quickly and minimize their impact. That's why we constantly invest in strengthening our monitoring. After every incident, we ask, did we have a monitoring gap? If the answer is yes, we don't just patch it. We build broader monitoring to catch future issues in the same category. A great example is the Power Platform Gateway, also known as the on-premises data gateway. It securely connects on-premises data sources like SQL Server or SharePoint with Power Platform and Azure cloud services. Last year, this gateway experienced a crash loop caused by a failure in a related Azure service. Luckily, we had monitoring in place that detected the crash within minutes. An engineer was quickly engaged using a safety switch to disable the faulty path and restored the service within 45 minutes, preventing a much larger outage. Let us now see Selfservice DR in action. Self-service disaster recovery in Power Platform is generally available starting April 30. Here, I will show you how to enable DR for an environment in Power Platform Admin Center or PPAC. Just select the environment, turn on disaster recovery, click Save. As simple as that. To speed things up, let's switch to an environment that already has DR enabled. Let's look at the disaster recovery section and click Open. And under Select Disaster Recovery Reason, you have two options available to you: Emergency Response and DR Drill. Enabling either of the options results in continuous data replication to a secondary region within the same geography, usually about 300 miles away, using Azure availability zones. When you choose Emergency Response, you're signaling an immediate and urgent need for recovery, typically during a real outage or disruption. Business continuity is the top priority here. When you initiate a DR drill, you're simulating a recovery for audits, compliance checks, or internal planning. It's important to note that continuous syncing is always in progress, no matter which option you pick. To avoid capacity overage impacts, the environment here must be linked to a pay-as-you-go billing plan. If your environment already uses one, DR capacity is automatically billed to your Azure subscription. If it draws from tenant entitlement, that capacity is used first, but as pay-as-you-go plan is still required to cover overages and ensure smooth operation. Let us proceed with selecting Emergency Response and click Continue. Replication occurs over the internet, which may result in a minor replication lag. This lag represents the time between the current moment and the last synchronization point. The replication gap can be monitored and assessed against your recovery point objective, also known as RPO. In this instance, the gap is approximately under a minute. In emergency response, Power Platform does not create a new copy of your data. Instead, it uses the last complete and validated replica. After running pre-checks and validations, it proceeds to accept potential data loss based on this most recent full copy based on your RPO. I will now copy the environment name and confirm the failover. Failover typically takes less than 5 minutes. The system now progresses through the recovery phases: validate, prepare, run, and complete. Once complete, it switches the DNS and moves the environment into emergency mode, fully operational in the secondary region. Your environment is now resilient to regional outages and prepared for recovery thanks to automated replication and infrastructure management. Now, let's look at an environment that's already in failover mode. As you can see, once recovery is complete and things are stable, you can initiate a failback to your primary region from PPAC. You can see here the warning indicating that the secondary region is operating with limited resources. Therefore, we recommend reverting to the primary region as soon as it is healthy. Failback involves the steps of validate, prepare, run, and complete, ensuring near zero data loss if replication is current. Now, let's switch to look at the history of actions. On this environment, let's click on the History button. And all DR actions, whether emergency or drill, are logged in the environment history. You can track exact timestamps, reasons for failover, and monitoring how long each step took, giving you full visibility and auditability. As you can see, I've run multiple drills and failovers for this environment, all self-served, all from within PPAC. With this capability, you are in control of your business continuity strategy without delays, escalations, or surprises. Selfservice DR in Power Platform is available now, and it's designed for flexibility, resilience, and compliance readiness. Start planning today and keep your businesses running in the event of disasters. Let's talk about some best practices to make the most of disaster recovery feature. Start your disaster recovery journey by identifying and prioritizing mission-critical workloads, those that must always stay online in production. These are the apps your business can't afford to lose. Power Platform delivers Microsoft-managed high availability and disaster recovery through built-in geo-replication, ensuring business continuity even during regional outages. But don't stop there. Make sure to implement your own backup strategies for external systems like Azure services and third-party tools. Monitor your environment using Dataverse capacity reports and Azure Monitor to stay ahead of resource constraints. And as demand grows, scale seamlessly with Power Platform capacity add-ons to maintain performance and reliability. Disaster recovery isn't just about the platform. It's about your entire ecosystem. Make sure your critical Azure resources are geo-replicated and implement fallback strategies for APIs to stay resilient during regional failures. Regularly test failover scenarios to validate your recovery plan. Even though the Power Platform handles DR automatically, ensure your custom code and integrations are ready for failovers. Always verify data integrity and integration behavior post-failover to maintain seamless business continuity. With managed availability and self-service disaster recovery, you can proactively manage failovers, replicate environments, and run disaster recovery drills, all from the Power Platform Admin Center. These tools ensure that your mission-critical applications stay online and your business remains operational. By implementing the best practices like geo-replication, monitoring, and regular failover testing, you're preparing for the unexpected and ensuring business continuity. Thank you for watching, and check out the description for resources to get started.